I have accepted the Vlogust Challenge. Thanks to Gret Glyer and Dave Schools for challenging and inviting me to participate. So I downloaded a free video editing app. I'm going to give it a go, and I hope that somebody out there finds it helpful. My plan is for the focus of this vlog series to focus on the idea of embracing limitation. First, I'd like to share a little bit of context about what's led to this point. It's been a very interesting past year. It was almost exactly a year ago that my wife and I found out we were expecting the birth of our first child. This was very exciting, welcome, and joyous news. And we were greatly looking forward to and anticipating her arrival. Then a few months later, at the beginning of December, I spiraled into a deep depression, full-blown major depressive episode, clinical depression, whatever you'd like to call it. It was a diagnosable depressive episode. I don't want to go into the gritty details of that time. However, I would be happy to talk more if you're curious or would like to learn about what that was like for me, how I dealt with it, or maybe you're experiencing something similar yourself and you'd just like to talk to somebody who's been there. Please let me know. That episode lasted until about the end of March. My daughter was born at the beginning of April, and her birth was kind of accompanied by a personal rebirth in many ways. That personal rebirth entailed a few changes, new things, growth in my own life. One of those changes is actually a new daily rhythm. Unintentionally, I began waking up with the sunrise and essentially going to sleep after the sun sets. So waking up between 5:30 and 6 a.m., sometimes earlier, and going to sleep between 9 and 9:30 p.m., also sometimes earlier. This wasn't planned or intentional. I'm not setting an alarm. Somehow my body clock reset. But it's actually been a very good change. Something else new that I've been doing is practicing daily meditation. I'm a Christian, and one of the ways that I nurture my walk with Christ, my relationship with Him, is by studying the Bible, reading the Bible, praying daily, usually first thing in the morning. Recently, I've started that time first thing in the morning by doing a few minutes of guided meditation. Over the coming weeks, I hope to explore and unpack some of these ideas, some of these practices, and some of these things that I've been learning. I hope to get to a variety of topics, and some of the ones that I'm kind of kicking around at this point are learning how not to run on a steady diet of adrenaline, fear, anxiety, learning how to see others where they're at, a paradigm shift from trying to fix people to walking alongside of them, learning to practice meditation, learning to practice rest or Sabbath. And at the end of the month, I'm actually planning to take a 2-day silent retreat to a monastery. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to come out of that time, what God's going to teach me, but I'm excited to process and perhaps share some of that through a video blog. The common thread that runs through all of these things, or at least one of the common threads, is this idea of embracing limitation. So I'd like to introduce that topic and set it up, and I'm looking forward to exploring it further in the coming weeks. So first, a personal definition of limitation. I'm defining limitation as a boundary that defines and focuses our choices and our priorities. I think that our American culture views limitation as a bad thing, as something to be avoided. We would prefer limitless options, choices, possibility, complete freedom, and any limitation that hinders that is bad. But I'm realizing that I really like limitation and that it's something I would like to continue to embrace and recognize. And there's a ton of research and literature out there on the tyranny of choice and the idea of the importance of limitation. Just by a simple Google search, I found a lot of great potential resources. Just a couple quick examples of how embracing limitation has been helpful for me personally. One, since Lucy, my daughter, was born, there's certain limitations that I've found to be helpful. So one, when I go to work, go into the office, I know that I need to be home by a certain time because it's important to me to get home in time to be able to spend the evening with her and have that quality time. So there's a cutoff, there's a limit to how long I can spend at work. Another example is creating a budget for my personal finances. When I first graduated from college, my financial theory, my financial strategy was spend less than I make. As long as the bottom line comes out positive, we're good. And that actually led to some anxiety around not really knowing what I was spending money on. Am I stewarding my finances well? Do I have enough? Am I saving as much as I should? All these kinds of questions. But when I sat down and made a budget and made line items and stuck to it and checked in regularly throughout the month, there's a lot of freedom within those limits. I was able to save more money while actually spending money on the things that I wanted to. So I really do believe that part of living a compelling life is embracing limitation. Personally, by embracing limitation, I've become more focused, more productive, and have actually been taking more risks than I did before embracing limitation and thinking that limitation was to be avoided. Cheesy tagline to sum it all up: when we embrace limitation, the sky's the limit. We're getting ready to go on vacation next week, and I will be wearing these unironically. I asked my wife, scale of 1 to 10, how embarrassed will you be to be seen with me while I'm wearing these? When these are down, she said a soft 3. When these are up, hard 10. Thankfully, she's willing to be seen with me either way. So I'm looking forward to the vacation and looking forward to putting out another vlog next week. Into the vlogosphere.